12:15 p.m., November 2nd, 1944. 25,000 feet over Luna, Germany. Jakob Bollenrath's spine compresses into the seat. The rocket motor screams. Airspeed needle, 500 miles per hour. Fuel gauge, red zone. 7 minutes burned, 1 minute left. He is flying the fastest aircraft in the world, and the timer is already running out. The cockpit is coffin-tight. His knees nearly touch the instrument panel. Every vibration transfers through thin aluminum into his ribs. Sweat soaks his flight suit, despite the sub-zero air outside. Temperature gauge, -40 Celsius beyond the glass. Through the curved canopy, B-17 bombers, slow and heavy. Contrails braid the sky. Sunlight glints off aluminum fuselages. 9 aircraft in the lead element. On his panel, the fuel needle trembling downward. Steady, irreversible. 8 minutes of powered flight total. 7 already gone. The Comet can climb faster than any Allied fighter can follow. It was designed to kill bombers before they see death coming. But without fuel, it becomes a glider. 16 kilometers from Brandis. No engine restart. No second burn. 1 glide path home. His breath fogs the visor. He wipes it with a stiff glove. What happens when the engine that makes you invincible is also the timer on your death? The sky above Germany is crowded with steel. Over 1,000 American heavy bombers threading through the altitude bands. Contrails braid the stratosphere like white scars cut into blue. Flak bursts pepper the lower altitudes, black puffs that hang in the air, then dissipate. P-51 Mustangs weave between formations. Silver fuselages, bubble canopies catching sunlight. The entire bomber stream stretches horizon to horizon, an airborne invasion. The Comet climbs through it all, untouchable, too fast to intercept, too fast to track, too fast to kill. Bollenrath's heart pounds against his sternum, each beat felt, each breath deliberate. The altitude and acceleration make his chest tight. The oxygen mask presses hard against his face. Cold air hisses through the regulator. The rubber seal digs into his cheeks. His jaw aches from clenching. Behind him, the rocket motor burns T-Stoff and C-Stoff, hypergolic propellants. They ignite on contact, no spark, no delay. Just chemistry and violence. The roar rattles every rivet in the airframe. Ground crews wear full protective suits just to fuel this machine. A single drop on skin burns through to bone. Pilots have died on the runway from propellant leaks dissolving their spines. Then the fuel runs dry. The roar cuts off. Silence floods the cockpit. Sudden, total. Only wind noise remains. A faint hum from control surfaces trembling in the slipstream. The quiet is disorienting. Wrong. Bollenrath's hand moves instinctively to the fuel selector, already in the correct position. Nothing to adjust. Nothing to fix. The instruments are normal. Altitude holding at 25,000 feet. Airspeed steady at 480 miles per hour and bleeding slowly. The aircraft hasn't failed. It's simply out of fuel. The Comet is now a glider. A 4,000-kilogram glider with the aerodynamic efficiency of a brick falling through air. Brandis Airfield, 16 kilometers away. No engine restart. No second burn. 1 glide path home, a single concrete strip carved into farmland. If he misses it, the alternative is a wheels-up crash into fields or forest. He jettisoned the landing gear 6 minutes ago over the Sala River to reduce drag. There's a skid plate under the fuselage. That's all. Bollenrath adjusts his oxygen mask. The strap digs into the back of his neck. He checks the altimeter. 25,000 feet. Good. He has altitude. He has speed. He has a narrow corridor back to Earth if he flies it perfectly. No mistakes, no wasted energy, no second chances. His breath fogs the inside of his visor. He wipes it with his glove. The leather is stiff from cold. His fingers are numb despite the heated grips on the control column. Below, Germany scrolls past. Farmland, villages, rivers, roads, all of it indifferent. And somewhere behind him, American fighters are no longer chasing the rocket. They are waiting for the glider. A shape appears in Bollenrath's rearview mirror. Silver fuselage, bubble canopy, propeller disc spinning steady. Four-bladed prop, laminar flow wing, underwing fuel tanks. P-51 Mustang. 400 yards. Closing. Bollenrath's stomach drops. His hand shoots to the throttle, muscle memory, instant, automatic, then freezes. There is no throttle anymore. No engine, no power to call on. Just momentum bleeding away into thin air. He pulls hard left. The stick slams into his gut. The Comet pitches into a climbing turn. No thrust to sustain it. Airspeed bleeds instantly. 320 miles per hour, 290, 270. The numbers unwind like a clock running backward. Each digit lost is energy he can never recover. The warning buzzer chirps. Low speed. Controls going soft. The stick feels mushy in his hands. Dead. The ailerons lose bite. The Comet wants to drop a wing and spin. He can feel the buffet starting, light vibration through the control column, a tremor that warns of departure from controlled flight. He rolls wings level and shoves the nose down. Gravity is his only engine now. The airspeed climbs again, 300, 320, 340. His inner ear protests the rapid pitch change. Nausea rises in his throat. He swallows it down. The horizon tilts, steadies, but the Mustang adjusts. Smooth, patient, no wasted motion. Still locked behind him, still closing. The American pilot is not trying to outturn the Comet. He is waiting for physics to do the work. Bollenrath scans the horizon through the curved canopy. No runway yet, just farmland stretching endlessly. Forests, rivers snaking through valleys. The landscape below is a patchwork of browns and greens, bare fields, scattered villages, smoke rising from chimneys. Normal life continuing below while men kill each other above. The Comet is sinking through 20,000 feet. Every turn costs altitude he cannot recover. Every second of maneuvering brings the ground closer. Every defensive maneuver is a transaction. Bullets for altitude, survival for distance. He banks again, harder this time. His vision grays at the edges as G-force pulls blood away from his brain. The horizon tilts violently. Sky and earth swap positions. The Mustang drifts wide, losing firing angle. Bollenrath tightens the spiral, bleeding speed deliberately to spoil the firing solution. The Mustang's nose drifts behind his flight path. No lead, no clean shot. For now. Now he is down to 18,000 feet. The altimeter needle unwinding. Glide ratio degrading with every maneuver. Distance to Brandis widening with every second he spends not flying straight toward home. The math is simple. Brutal, inescapable. Every evasion that saves him from bullets drags him closer to the ground. Bollenrath runs the numbers in his head. The Me-163 glides clean at roughly 20-1, 20 meters forward for every meter down. In maneuvering flight, flaps deflected, airframe disturbed, turns bleeding energy, maybe 15-1. From 18,000 feet, that gives him 15 nautical miles in still air. Brandis is 14 kilometers out, just inside the margin, barely. But the Mustang behind him has fuel, a Merlin engine with hours of endurance remaining. Time, options. The ability to climb, dive, turn, chase, and still make it home with reserves to spare. Bollenrath has none of that. He has kinetic energy and gravity. That is all. He makes a decision, a dangerous one. He rolls inverted. The world flips. Sky below, earth above. His harness straps dig into his shoulders as he hangs against them, weight pulling against the belts. He pulls the nose through into a steep dive, a split S, outside the safe handling envelope for a glider. The maneuver manual forbids it without power. The airframe groans under the load, metal flexing, rivets creaking. The stick shudders in his hands as the elevator strains against aerodynamic pressure. The control column vibrates violently. Negative G pulls blood toward his skull. His vision reddens. Veins bulge in his temples. His helmet feels too tight. Pressure building behind his eyes. Speed spikes. 350 miles per hour, 380, 410. The dive breaks the Mustang's firing line. The American pilot loses sight angle and has to reposition. Bollenrath watches in the mirror as the Mustang rolls to follow, but the angle is wrong now. The geometry doesn't work. The shot is gone. Bollenrath pulls out of the dive at 12,000 feet. 4 Gs press him into the seat. His body weighs 4 times normal. Arms heavy. Vision tunneling. Gray encroaching from the edges. The horizon reappears, first as a blur, then sharpening. Airspeed high. Controls firm again. Responsive. Alive. His body feels crushed. His arms ache from the sustained pull. Every muscle in his back screams. The Mustang is no longer directly behind him, but the altitude is gone. Half his energy spent in one desperate maneuver, 6,000 feet traded for 30 seconds of survival. And Brandis is still not visible through the haze. Just flat farmland and scattered tree lines. No concrete strip, no haven. Bollenrath reaches down with his left hand and toggles the emergency fuel jettison. A red guarded switch on the left console. He flips the guard up, presses the button. The last remnants of fuel dump from the tanks. A few kilograms of volatile chemicals sloshing in the lines. It vents into the slipstream, invisible, gone. It might buy him 200 meters of glide distance, maybe less. But every meter counts now. Every gram of weight matters. Every calculation reduced to survival geometry. He straightens the flight path, wings level, nose aimed at the calculated point where the runway should appear. No more turns, no more evasion. A direct line toward home. A gamble that the Mustang will not reacquire firing position before he reaches the airfield perimeter. His breathing is controlled, measured, but his heart pounds in his chest. To stay airborne, he must trade mission for margins, and the margin is shrinking with every heartbeat. The Mustang reappears, not chasing anymore, repositioning. The American pilot has gained altitude during Bollenrath's dive and is now above and behind, holding energy advantage. A textbook tactical position. The hunter above the prey. Bollenrath sees it clearly now. The American pilot is not following the rocket. He is shadowing the glider, waiting for the inevitable descent, waiting for vulnerability, waiting for the moment when speed becomes irrelevant and the Comet is just another aircraft without power. This is not a dogfight. This is a hunt. The Mustang pilot knows the Comet's weakness, knows the fuel limitation, knows the glide profile, knows that time is on his side and gravity is his ally. Bollenrath tries one more violent roll to shake pursuit, a last-ditch attempt to force an overshoot. The Comet snaps left, wings vertical, horizon spinning. G-force slams him sideways against the harness, then back to level. The maneuver creates separation. The Mustang drifts out of his immediate rear view, forced wide by the sudden direction change. For 3 seconds, Bollenrath is clear. Then the Comet begins to hunt. The nose bobs up and down, uncommanded, the wings rock side to side in Dutch roll oscillation. The glide stability, fragile without engine power or mass in the rear fuselage, starts to unravel. The airframe was never designed to sustain maneuvering flight unpowered. The center of gravity is too far forward. The control surfaces are too sensitive. The short fuselage and swept wings create instability in the glide regime. What made it deadly with thrust makes it fragile without it. Bollenrath fights the stick. His right hand grips it so hard his knuckles go white. The controls shake in his palm, buffeting harsh and erratic. The stick vibrates, sharp, rapid oscillations that numb his hand. The Comet is no longer responding to input smoothly. It is bucking, resisting, oscillating. Each control input triggers an overreaction. He moves the stick left. The wings snap left too far. He corrects right. They snap back too hard. He is no longer flying the aircraft cleanly. He is managing its slow collapse. Altitude, 9,000 feet. Distance to Brandis, still 8 kilometers. The math is turning against him. The glide angle is too steep. The distance, too far. The numbers don't close. He runs the calculation again in his head, hoping for a different answer. The answer doesn't change. His glide window is no longer a corridor. It is no longer even a margin. It is a single thread, and it is fraying with every passing second. Bollenrath commits everything to the final glide. Nose down 10 degrees. Speed high, 350 miles per hour to maintain control authority. Straight line toward the runway he still cannot see through the haze and ground clutter. He cannot afford another turn. Cannot afford another defensive maneuver. Cannot afford anything except straight flight toward home. His breathing is shallow, controlled, each breath measured. In, out. In, out. His body is locked, muscles rigid, tendons tight. He can feel the pulse in his neck, throbbing, fast. His mouth is dry, tongue thick. Adrenaline floods his system, hands trembling slightly despite his grip on the stick. The Mustang reappears on his right quarter, 300 yards out, closing slowly, deliberately. No rush. The American pilot has all the time in the world. The Mustang's engine purrs steadily. A low, confident drone Bollenrath can almost hear through the wind noise. 12 cylinders, supercharged. Burning fuel he will never have again. Bollenrath hauls back on the controls, near the aircraft's structural limit. The Comet pitches up slightly, trading speed for a few more seconds aloft. A desperate exchange. Blood drains from his vision. The edges go gray, tunnel vision narrowing. His peripheral vision disappears, just darkness closing in from the sides. He can see only the instruments and a shrinking circle of sky ahead. The airframe shakes harder, control surfaces chattering against the airflow. The stick vibrates violently in his hand. The buffet is constant now, unrelenting. Less than 2 minutes of glide remain before he is forced into an emergency landing, wherever the ground happens to be. The Mustang drifts into firing position. Stable, patient, professional, no wasted motion. The American pilot has done this before. Bollenrath can see the Mustang's nose tracking him smoothly in the mirror. Deflection angle decreasing, range closing, the geometry aligning. He wants to turn. Every instinct screams to brake left, brake right, do something. But there is no energy left for evasion. Bollenrath sees the muzzle flashes before he hears them. Bright points of light strobing in the corner of his canopy. 6 guns firing in sequence, rapid, rhythmic. 50 caliber Brownings, 800 rounds per minute per gun. Tracers arc past the right wing, bright orange streaks against the pale sky, phosphorus burning. One strikes the fuselage aft of the cockpit. A metallic crack, sharp, final. The sound travels through the airframe like a hammer blow against an anvil. He feels it through the seat, through his spine. Then another hit, and another. The rhythm of impacts accelerates, bullets punching through thin aluminum skin. Each strike a distinct sound, each one closer than the last. The Comet shudders violently. A sharp chemical smell floods the cockpit, residual propellant igniting from the bullet strikes. The odor is acrid, caustic, choking. Bollenrath gags against his oxygen mask. His throat burns, his eyes water instantly, vision blurring. The airframe twists to the right, violently, uncommanded. Lift collapses on the left side. The left wing drops. Control authority vanishes. The stick goes slack in his hand. No resistance, no feedback, just dead weight. Bollenrath pulls hard, both hands on the stick now, pulling with everything he has, arms straining, muscles burning, pulling until his shoulders scream. The stick moves back into his lap, but nothing responds. The aircraft doesn't react. The control cables may be severed, or the surfaces themselves shredded, or the linkages jammed. The nose drops despite his input. The ground rushes up, fields, tree lines, roads expanding in his vision, details sharpening with terrifying speed. A farmhouse, a fence line, individual trees, a horse in a field looking up, a road with cart tracks, the earth filling his entire canopy. He is no longer flying. He is falling with no power to arrest it and no control to soften the impact. The Mi-163 Comet impacts near Zeitz, 6 kilometers short of Brandis airfield. The wreckage scatters across a plowed field in a debris trail 80 meters long. The airframe disintegrates on contact with the earth. Aluminum fragments, shattered glass, pieces of the wooden tail section torn into splinters. The fuselage splits open like a ruptured shell. One wing tears away completely, cartwheeling across the field before embedding itself in the dirt. The other crumples backward against the fuselage. Jakob Bollenrath does not survive the crash. He is 23 years old. A photograph in his cockpit shows his fiancée, smiling, dark hair, standing in front of a garden. She will receive notification of his death 3 days later. A letter, official, brief, no details. 3 other comets engaged in the same action come down damaged or destroyed within 15 minutes. 2 more pilots killed on impact, bodies unrecoverable. One survives with fractured legs and chemical burns from residual propellant that ignited during his crash landing. T-Stoff eating through his flight suit, through skin, into muscle. He will spend 4 months in a military hospital. The burns will never fully heal. He will never fly again. JG-400 loses 4 aircraft in a single afternoon sortie, to fuel depletion, to the fundamental design limitation built into the airframe from the first blueprint. The American fighter pilots refine a brutally simple counter tactic within hours. It spreads through fighter groups by evening briefing. Do not engage the rocket at altitude. Do not try to outturn it. Do not waste ammunition on deflection shots at impossible closure rates. Shadow the glide. Wait for the engine to stop, then close in when the Comet becomes defenseless. Some American pilots begin referring to the tactic as waiting for the candle to burn out. Others call it following the glider home. The lesson is taught to new pilots arriving in theater, written into tactical doctrine, circulated through squadrons across the European front. The fastest manned aircraft in the sky becomes the most vulnerable the moment it stops being fast. And in the cockpit, there is no way to restart what has already burned out. The November 2nd engagement exposes the Mi-163's fundamental design paradox. Unmatched speed. Less than 8 minutes of powered flight. A dangerous unpowered return with no margin for combat maneuvering. The aircraft was conceived as a point defense interceptor. Climb fast, attack once, land immediately. a vertical rocket designed to punch through bomber formations before escort fighters could react. On paper, the concept was revolutionary. In practice, Allied escort fighters learned to exploit the glide phase. They adapted faster than German tactics could evolve. The Comet's greatest strength became its fatal weakness. Allied fighter groups circulate the lesson through tactical briefings and pilot debriefs. Engage the Comet only during its glide phase. Do not waste ammunition on deflection shots at 600 miles per hour closure. Wait. Follow. Strike when it is silent and slow. The instructions are specific, methodical, based on observed kills and near misses. Pilots compare notes. Share gun camera footage. Refine approach angles. Some squadrons develop specialized tactics, positioning fighters at different altitudes to intercept comets at various points in their glide descent. Others assign shadow pilots, whose sole mission is to trail rocket interceptors from engine cutoff to landing approach. The counter tactics become so effective that Comet pilots begin requesting fighter escort for their return glide, an irony not lost on Luftwaffe command. The world's fastest interceptor requires protection from slower aircraft. German aviation development pressure shifts accordingly. Speed alone is insufficient. The Luftwaffe needs interceptors that can sustain combat performance under continuous power. Aircraft that can fight for more than 8 minutes. Aircraft that can defend themselves throughout the entire mission profile, not just the climb and attack, but the return home. The Messerschmitt Me-262 twin-jet fighter, with 60 to 80 minutes of endurance and the ability to maneuver at high speed without fuel starvation, becomes the priority. The 262 can fight, disengage, reposition, and still return to base under power. It can accelerate away from threats. It can turn without bleeding energy into a death spiral. It carries ammunition for sustained engagement rather than a single firing pass. Resources shift. Production priorities change. The Comet program continues, but development focus moves elsewhere. The Comet remains the fastest manned aircraft of World War II, but it never achieves operational success. Approximately 300 built, fewer than 10 confirmed aerial victories. Some records suggest as few as 9 kills total against thousands of sorties flown by Allied bombers. 14 pilots lost in combat. Dozens more killed or injured in training accidents and emergency landings. More pilots die from propellant burns, crash landings, and structural failures than from enemy fire. The aircraft killed more of its own pilots than enemy air crews. In post-war analysis, Allied intelligence officers examined captured comets with fascination and relief. Fascination at the engineering audacity, a manned rocket that could outclimb anything in the sky. Relief that it never became effective, hamstrung by the same fuel that made it possible. Endurance proves as critical as peak velocity. Tactical flexibility matters as much as raw performance. The ability to fight for more than 8 minutes matters more than the ability to fly at 600 miles per hour. Innovation's edge dulls when fuel limits expose raw physics over tactical genius. In the cockpit, speed feels like freedom. The roar, the climb, the needle pushing past every limit known to aviation. The sensation of leaving everything behind, gravity, fear, doubt. The moment when the aircraft stops being a machine and becomes an extension of will. When flesh and metal fuse into something faster than thought. When the earth falls away and the sky opens up like a promise. For 8 minutes, Jakob Bollenrath flew faster than any pilot in history. For 8 minutes, he was untouchable. Then the fuel ran out, and the promise turned into a countdown, until the engine stops and the sky turns silent. The silence is what they never warned him about in training. Not the danger, not the speed, the silence. The moment when the roar cuts off and the wind noise takes over, and the realization settles in, cold and absolute, that the machine no longer obeys, that momentum is finite, that gravity is patient, The machine outruns enemy tactics, then strands the man inside it, proving that physics remains the last adversary no pilot can outfly. No matter how fast, no matter how brave, no matter how skilled or determined, or willing to die. Speed without endurance is not power, it is a countdown. The Comet was designed to climb higher and faster than anything else in the sky. It succeeded. But success measured in minutes is not victory. It is postponement. A brief defiance of limits that reassert themselves the moment the fuel gauge hits empty. The engineers who designed it knew the trade-off. Thrust for duration. Speed for survival. They chose speed. The pilots who flew it accepted the trade-off. They strapped themselves into a rocket and lit the fuse. Some made it back. Most did not. Jakob Bollenrath's name is inscribed on a memorial stone near Brandis airfield. One name among many. The inscription lists his rank, his unit, the date. It does not mention how fast he flew. It does not mention that for 8 minutes, he was the fastest man in the world. It only records that he died 6 kilometers short of home. In a field near Zeititz, farmers still occasionally find fragments of aluminum embedded in the soil. Small pieces, twisted, corroded. Remnants of an aircraft that flew faster than sound would allow until it ran out of time.